It's such a pleasure and honor to have a pioneering business leader talking to me. It's Dr. Velumani. He's Chairman, MD, CEO at Thyrocare. Good morning, sir. I hope friends, family, extended family, and colleagues are all right during this COVID 19 crisis.
Good morning. Yes, all are almost right, except a couple of people who fell sick and became positive, and some have recovered, some are in quarantine. But knowing it is happening to everyone, so it's a part of life.
Sir, I'm going to talk about recruitment philosophy right up front. I believe you hire only freshers straight out of their studies in Thyrocare. And I think that's a lesson to India Inc. On the whole. Why, sir?
I think if you look at the entire spectrum of people available for job, freshers are desperately needing job, experienced are looking for better jobs. So when I was looking for a job in 1978, 79, when I finished my BSc, I was rejected only because I didn't have experience. They never understood to get an experience, you must first give a job. So it was in my mind that once I start anything of my own, should experiment with freshers. I think I have had a wonderful experience. Let me use my punchline. It is easy to teach because people can learn, but sometimes it is very difficult to teach because they have to unlearn before learning new. So fresher means you have a fresh mind. And I have enjoyed because I only employ freshers. Today, the mean age of my company is 27 years.
Wow.
The youngest company, 25-year-old company having mean age of 27. I believe that taking freshers, training them is creating talents. If you take experienced, it is consuming talents.
I believe you sold brinjals once and learnt a very, very valuable lesson. Would you share that with everybody who's watching or listening?
Yeah, I think a business has to be learned even before Brinjal. My mother used to tell me how good people, successful people do business. She said, if somebody buys Brinjal, 10 kilos, sells them, they will get 2x revenue. They can buy 20 kilos Brinjal and sell, they will get revenues for buying 40 kilos Brinjal. So if you keep on selling and buying, and if you have been frugally selling, your business will be very powerful. So I started it when I was in 1976 in third year of my BSc, and it did teach me that the sales cost decides the success of business. If you sell by spending too much of money, there is no success. So even today, my pricing in the industry is lowest. And let me tell you, there is no company which is closed down because they have priced it low. All companies closed down because in spite of charging high, they could not control the cost. So the controlling the cost is business success, not selling at high price. So this I learned very early in 1977, 78 itself. So it is helping me today also.
There's an interesting blog, sir, that you've written about three kinds of cats, and you've
Yes,
compared or likened them to the workforce.
yes.
Explain that analogy.
Yeah, I think there is everywhere you will find something best, something worst, and something average. So I keep three kinds as my way of explaining things. A very intelligent cat does not need direction to move because it has its nose, ears working. So it will smell the urine of a mouse, and it will know which corner of the house the mouse is. It will go wait there, catch it, eat it, look for the next, and it will never look for any guidance. That's number one, cat. Number two, cat has to be told where is likely the mouse, and ask it to wait, and the mouse will get caught and it will eat. There is one more cat, which you have to ask, do you want mouse? can you get it for me? And then you have to go kill the mouse and put it on its table, and it will eat and will tell you thank you. So is employees too. Some of them are go-getters. Some of them will do if a little bit of guidance is there. The third category needs step-by-step guidance. It's very, very painful to guide them as if they are LKG students. So whenever I look at my floor, I see which kind of cat I'm dealing with. And it gives me enormous pleasure to find the guys who are go-getters.
Today, your children are working with you, helping to build ThyroCare. But there was a time when you had tried to give your son a life lesson. So, on a lighter note, you had told him how your father was poor, so you're rich. And because you're rich, your son is likely to be poor. But he gave you a very fitting reply. Tell us about
Yeah.
that.
So this is happening in villages. It is happening in cities. All big brands which were existing 25 years back, hardly 5% is alive today. Remaining brands are dead because the children did not have that wherewithal energy to sustain and keep growing. And sometimes they are such a big consumer, they collapse the father's wealth, not only business, it also they will sell out every property and eat out. Now, this is nature because somebody who was born poor will have a dream to become rich. Somebody who is born rich will not have a dream only. So this is something which is a bit intimidating. So once I wanted my son to think in that line, and I told him that, son, look, my grandfather was extremely rich, because of which my father became poor. My father was extremely poor, and I became rich. Now I am extremely rich, and I am worried about you. And he brought in some humor by telling that his son will be extremely rich. But if you look at it, simple harmonic motion of physics, it is likely to happen. But then that is happening in the society, and it is very important for parents to keep in mind, and even children to keep in mind, that success is delta. Delta is equal to x2 minus x1. X2 is where you are today. X1 was where you were that day. And if your x1 was 0, there is nothing to lose. So lucky are those who are born to poor. This is my punchline.
Very well said. Scientists from the World Health Organization, the WHO, are now writing about group testing and matrix testing for COVID 19. But ThyroCare has been employing group testing, including the matrix method, for 3 months now, sir. Talk about your models for COVID testing that has really changed the game.
No, actually, we were doing a lot of research on how to use statistics and diagnose cost effectively, because everything is science and everything is possible. So we did research almost some 15-20 days, and we did prepare for a publication. But we did not use any kind of shortcut, because it is a kind of serious illness. Anything we do with good intention might be thought that this man is making more money. So we did not actually go into pooling. We have been doing it in the normal procedure, but that is 5 or 10 times costlier than the statistical method of pooling. But we want to do it once the pandemic fear is over. Until that time, we will continue to do what regulatory bodies have advised. But having said that, the big today breakthrough is, when you do 200 tests, it's very costly. When you do 2000 tests, it becomes affordable. So volume based solutions are more motivating. So we are intending to do a 20,000 a day, which means it will become very cheap. So the build the volume, it becomes cheaper.
Recently, Harvard Business Education Publishing published a study on ThyroCare, sir. It must have been a proud moment. Please tell us what the study done by the Great Lakes Institute involved.
Yeah, actually, they studied business models in diagnostic industry of the top 10 players in the country. All the remaining nine are a uniform model. Mine is a different model. All the remaining are run by medical people, pathologists. I am an entrepreneur, mathematician, and all of them are general pathology. I am somebody who was, with the name ThyroCare, did a little different kind of business on lifestyle disorder based, So they studied how this man have a single lab, connects the entire country, how effectively he has managed to use logistics to get the sample every night, same night before midnight, and how well he has used IT, because those days before I came in, IT was not existing. I am the first guy in the laboratory to make full use of IT. And they're also fascinated by the HR power of ThyroCare, because freshers are most well trained, great automations. And let me sum it up like this: in the entire world, India is cheapest in healthcare, and in entire India, ThyroCare is the cheapest. Yet we have a 40% profit in our balance sheet. This is something which will attract any business school to study. But nonsense is that he is the lowest cost and still he has the highest profit. Then they have studied it and they have found this model is disrupting, because it's very different and it works on volumes, and this is a logistics HR IT enabled business.
What do you think about plasma therapy and the plasma trials unveiled by the government of Maharashtra? So there are two aspects to this question. One, do you think plasma therapy works? Comment on that. And then the initiative itself, which is a separate thing.
First and foremost, plasma therapies work in a few places, few situations, or few diseases. Whether it will work in COVID or not still is not very clear. Sometimes they give therapy and the patient is recovered. Whether the patient recovered because of the therapy or otherwise, we still are not very clear. But plasma therapy is safe, because it is blood, like a blood donation. One can experiment. You don't need too much of clinical trials. I believe it should give some relief, because the antibodies raised in a COVID patient can help the patient who has COVID to come out of it. Theoretically works very well. We have still not done in large scale. Incidentally, there are a lot of people with antibodies, even who have not got infected with COVID. They were only exposed. They didn't go to the hospital. They didn't go to the bed, but they have antibodies. Today, we have been doing antibody tests across the country. Around 12% of the population is having antibodies. It is very important that these individuals are identified. Very high levels of antibody guys are asked to give blood for a plasma therapy, and it is tested, and if it is useful, country will have enough people to produce enough of antibodies. So it's a very promising one. Some agencies should be interested the job of finding out volunteers and find out how best that can give solution. It's not an overnight success solution. It will take 1 year for us to understand what kind of donors, what kind of recipients, and what kind of relief.
I'm going to ask you a very basic question because again people have started asking this with the Bachchans getting infected. You seem to be a firm believer that the antibodies test is better. Please explain the difference between the PCR and the antibodies testing for COVID and why you think one is better than the other.
Actually, we are most confused people. We very often find it easy to get confused than try to become clear about. Let me tell you in layman language. There is a terrorist, that is the virus. There are security guards, they are antibodies. So if I have in my lungs virus, it can be traced only using RT-PCR, because RT-PCR cannot find out who is security. It can only find out where is the terrorist. So the RT-PCR test undeniably is test for presence of virus. And if it is present, you have to get treated. And if it is not present, you can relax. It is 100% reliable test. It is costly test. So that is the RT-PCR test. Antibody test is not meant for identifying the terrorist. It is meant for whether terrorist has visited there or not. He visited there, is there security guards alerted or not? If alerted, how many security guards are present sufficient for a next terrorist attack if it happens? So if you ask me in one more layman's language, one is toothpaste, another is shaving cream. You can't interchange. So it is RT-PCR is for diagnosis, and antibody test is not meant for diagnosis.
Very beautifully explained. Your view on infections versus deaths per million. Now, everyone is panicking. They're saying we're the third most infected country on the planet. But, you've also got to look at the deaths per million. Your view?
Yeah, if you look at it for the last 10 days, all media, social media is telling India has crossed 5, 4, 3. Today it is India number 3, and India will become number 1 because of the sheer population. We are 1.4 billion population, and we are declaring deaths not like China. We are hiding. So there is a likelihood soon India will be number 1 in infected counts in any country. But if you look at the deaths per million, in spite of we reaching third position in infected per total infected, we are still 100th place in deaths per million. If Western cousins have lost 400 deaths per million, India has only lost 15 deaths per million. So I always tell people, look at this angle, look at numbers from this side. You will feel little relaxed because we haven't lost that many as much as our Padosi has lost. So it is a way of bringing in a positive frame of mind. And if you keep on terrorizing people, panicking people, people will die more of mental health. You must make them to relax. And still you need to be careful, keep masking, keep safe distancing. All those things are all right. Let me also reassure that it doesn't kill 1 in 10. It doesn't kill 1 in 100. It doesn't even kill 1 in 1,000. It kills 1 in 10,000. So relax.
A lot of people are questioning their own immunity and fear is set in. Is there a way to get your overall immunity tested? And do you advise immunity testing?
See, there is no indicator available as of today for immunity testing. It is your lymphocytes which are supposed to have memory of foreign particles, and it is supposed to fight. In fact, I have been telling immunity always is a gift of the parents. You can't acquire it from your neighbor or from a doctor or from a medical shop. If your parents pampered your immunity, around your immunity, did not allow your body to wait until the disease is solved by its own. Body has a fighting power against all pathogens. But today's modern mothers will take their child. Let me explain you. My mother had 5 children and no doctor around 10 kilometers, and there was no money to pay to the doctor. Alternate week will have COVID kind of symptoms, but she never took anybody to a hospital. And all of us must have developed a natural immunity, which today is protecting. Today's young mothers, morning 7 o'clock, they will see the temperature, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, they will not go to office and they will take the kid to the doctor and will give him 2 antibiotics so that the child is not having temperature. And thereby the child's immunity is not allowed to fight the pathogen. So if your parents were having patience, you have immunity. If your parents were impatient, your immunity has been compromised. It's very sad to know that many modern children are having some challenges, but I won't tell that it is generation to generation completely changed. But people from village, people who are poor are likely to have more immunity.
Now that people don't need a prescription for testing, the number of tests must have gone up dramatically, Dr. Velamani. What are the numbers you're testing on a daily basis, both in Mumbai and other parts of the country?
Actually, it hasn't gone up as high as one believes it to be. The reason is COVID positive gives rise to a lot of other unwanted administrative hassles. You are called at home, police knocks at your door, asks for your neighbor's contact, asks for your all potential contacts. So it's a huge harassment. So people want to believe that they don't have a problem and they don't want to test it. So the testing has not gone. It is not the money part. It is a fear part which has controlled people going for testing. Number two, the positive doesn't have a different treatment. The treatment is not changing as per your positive or negative. It is isolation, quarantine. If symptoms are severe, you have to go to hospital, and if you don't have an immunity, you have to pack and leave. You have an immunity, you will be sent back, but the bills can be as high as 5 lakhs to 50 lakhs. So ये पूरा डर लोगों को बैठा है. इतना डर से लोग टेस्ट करने के लिए बहुत डरते हैं. Having said that, X has become 2X. It has not become 10X.
There was a concern amongst people who have tested positive how, when they need other tests done, other scans done, then pathology labs are not willing to send people and are insisting on hospitalization to get those tests done. So, I want to understand Thyrocare's philosophy. Do you only test till a person tests COVID positive and then not test for comorbidities once the person tests positive? Your policy.
There is no policy as such. Somebody wants a test, we must provide. He is paying for his service. Why should we tell philosophies to him? And if somebody wants at home, we go to home and collect the swab. So there is no specific philosophy for laboratories. Hospitals will have a different philosophy because their business models itself are very different. We sometimes do for the same patient fifth time also. And until it is negative, some rich people want to do every alternate days. And it is making a lot of sense for them to see the levels coming down. And finally, they feel, "Arey, aaj mera positive, negative ho gaya, mukt ho gaya." So this is something is available and everybody is availing as long as they can afford it.
Congratulations. I believe you now have labs in 10 countries, including the Middle East. Tell us about your international growth, sir.
Yeah, we went to Bahrain as early as 2013. Now we are present there for 7 years. And we are present in Saudi, Bahrain, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Muscat, Kuwait, Bangladesh, Nepal. So we are present in 10 different countries. And we are very happy to tell that 2 laboratories, international laboratories, are recognized for COVID testing, one in Bahrain, another in Oman. In fact, I feel very proud that the only Indian multinational company is in diagnostics is Thyrocare. But I am pretty sure that we will be going global almost across all Asian countries, and it's a matter of time.
Wonderful. So now that Reliance has entered the diagnostic space, is there a feeling of competition? And what is your advice to your own teams given the competition?
Rishikesh, there are only 2 kinds of people. One who becomes competition, another gives competition. So I have been a competition for the entire industry for the last 25 years. I came late, but I was the latest. And I could get to give a tough fight for all my peers. कभी भी शेर को सवा शेर आता ही है. And if Reliance comes, it will be very happy to see they fighting for the market share and I fighting the market share. And it will be very proud to tell I am the second largest laboratory if Reliance is the first. So absolutely needed to have tough players in the marketplace. Whenever big players fight, it gives solution to poor man because his costs come down. I think without competition, no business becomes what you call as cost effective. And now why only Reliance Tata should come in and everybody should get in. Healthcare is going to be a very powerful industry, especially post-COVID. Man will spend more money from his pocket for health and government will spend more money in his GDP for health. So it will be more and more will be merrier and I am very eagerly waiting to understand what kind of strategy they are adopting.
So we are seeing some democratization in prices for COVID testing, but there's still a variation. There's still a variation in different cities and states. Why is that so?
I must tell you, Rishikesh, in healthcare, everything is variation more than uniformity. And same thyroid test, one hospital charges 1,500, another hospital charges 800, and one laboratory charges 800, another laboratory charges 300. So obviously, everybody has their own philosophy, and there is no standardization across the country. You can't do that simple also. Everywhere you need a rich man, wherever he goes, poor cannot go. Wherever poor goes, rich will not go. I believe 3 different slabs are needed. Only wish is there should be only X, 1.5X and 2X. Unfortunately, today it is X, 4X and 16X. But then COVID has brought in a lot of seriousness of people monitoring cost and criticizing cost. So far, no one was worried about what was the cost. Today, people are knowing what is the cost of PPE and how many PPEs one needs to change for a patient in emergency ward. So a lot of pressure is there. So I have a reason to believe by the end of another 2 more years, a lot more standardization and pricing will come.
People are in a hurry to develop a vaccine, sir. What is your thought on the vaccine?
See, vaccine is not easy to produce faster. It is like, a greedy mother-in-law tells a daughter-in-law, I want a grandchild within a month. It is not that simple. To become pregnant, it takes sometimes couple of years, and then delivery needs for entire 9 full month term. So yes, vaccine, very often vaccine takes 4 to 5 years. No history says any vaccine was made less than 3 years. Now that we are in an emergency, so everybody has fast tracked. Every regulation is being little deregulated, or freedom is given. So there is a likelihood we would have a vaccine by mid 2021, not in 2020. There was an announcement that by August 15 it can be ready, but then that was a bit of what I call a mess. It will take mid 2021 for a vaccine to be there for a common man to consume.
What really is herd immunity? It's a very misrepresented represented term. Can you explain what herd immunity really means, and is it possible for India to achieve it?
Herd immunity is an immunity happened without vaccination. We have been vaccinated for tuberculosis. We have been mumps, measles, rubella. Many things we are vaccinating. They are all vaccinated immunity. If you are not vaccinated and the virus itself is creating immunity, that is known as a herd immunity. And today we see in the country around 10% of the people are having antibodies or immunity because of virus itself, not by vaccination. So herd immunity has started and it will continue. No one can stop the virus. Stop. That is not going to listen. So what is today 10%? Every quarter may be another 5-7% added. And by end of 2021, it will be around 40% of people immunized. Until that time, if vaccine has not come, that is herd immunity. If vaccine has come, that can be a man-made, programmed immunity.
Now, I want you to comment on the plight of resident doctors. They're such a vulnerable group. Also, in a way, your frontline workers and precautions taken when they're out in the field testing. I know they're not related. I just wanted your views on both resident doctors in public hospitals as well as sample collection agents, the frontline workers.
Yeah, let us put it this way: medical, private, public, non-medical, paramedical, private, public.
Yeah.
Let us look at it like this. I am astonished to see the public sector doctors who are having a very bad image. They don't go to hospitals. They don't look at the patient seriously. This is the image they had before the arrival of COVID. I'm surprised to see in the last 100 days, they have handled maximum patients in spite of minimum infrastructure, in spite of not getting adequate support from their superiors for budgets and spending. I have very huge regards for that species, medical, which is in a public setup. Private set of medical doctors are incentivized, and if incentivized, it is worth harassing. If they are not incentivized, it is unfortunate. I see some good employers in private who have motivated medical community by paying double or triple salary because it is a tough time and they are working. There are some who think that why to pay more, their duty is to work, and that is harassment. This happens in paramedical also. It is very important that an leave for extra hours or even in weekends. If you are not grateful, it is a sin and crime. I wish all who take best out of them, give them also best back. Otherwise, it is harassment.
I find it confusing, Dr. Velumani, that in Bangalore and Mumbai, they say that public facilities built in stadiums, public places are going free with empty beds, as in patients are not coming forward to use them. Yet we see hospitals have no beds. Is that because people don't think quarantining themselves is serious initially, but then they rush to hospitals when things get worse? What must people do?
Let me tell you in layman language, Rishikesh. If in a public school in the nearby, if they tell, food is available, there may not be a large queue. But if you get an invitation in a 3-star, 5-star for a cocktail dinner, you will find gate crashing. Medical facilities also, if I am given a star hospital, I will feel that घर से वो बेहतर है मैं वहां जाके सो जाऊं. Agar if I am told you have to go to a stadium and you have to lie down there, you don't know whether toilet connections are there or you get food or not. मैं घर पे ही सो जाऊंगा करके एक decision लिया जाता है. This is natural. Human being looks at the facility and then overcrowds there, or looks at the facility and avoids it there. So we can't expect people to think disease. They think for the comfort.
Last couple of questions. The feasibility of the rapid antigen test, even in Aishwarya Rai Bachchan and Aradhya's case, the rapid antigen test came negative, and then they did the PCR test, which came positive.
Yeah. So this rapid antigen test also is a terrorist finding, but it is only smelling the terrorist. It is not seeing the terrorist with eyes. So half of the time terrorists can be smelt. So Abhishek Bachchan and Amitabh Bachchan had probably higher levels of virus, so they were detected positive, whereas the family members detected negative. That means you have to retest using a much more sensitive test, that is RT-PCR, which takes another 10-12 hours. I think subsequently they were declared positive. This is nothing normal, it is expected. Only thing is, these rapid antigen test will have a limitation, which is properly educated by none other than the big B.
At one hand, we talk of being Atmanirbhar and stop imports from China. I completely agree with that. But at the other hand, we see substandard oxygen cylinders and equipment delivered to hospitals, oximeters that don't work, causing a lot of risk to patients. How can we bridge this gap, sir?
Atmanirbhar, Make in India, all these are today words coined for campaigning. I was a scientist as early as 1980, and we were trying to do making diagnostic kit indigenously. And everything from Nehru's days till today, we were slowly trying to make indigenous. Unfortunately, in healthcare, 90% of our dependence is still on imported, especially imported from West for huge gadgets and small gadgets from China. So we can't happen that COVID आया हम आत्मनिर्भर हो जाएंगे. That is not anything which is on-off switch. It will be another 20 years period where we will have to replace one by one. For that, we must have quality local products. For that, we must have quality raw material for that product. So, yeah, will take, as I said, 10, 20 years. And India will be totally a very powerful country. Will be. I'm using the word will be. If the transition will take a couple of more decades. It is not overnight.
For all of you who've enjoyed this interview, I highly advocate that you go onto social media and Twitter in particular and search for Dr. Velumani or Velumania, and you will see sir's remarkable insights. Thank you very much for this conversation. It was very, very enriching. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rishikesh. Thank you.